Hey, how's it going, everybody? Tim here, back with another video. And today I'm going to once again be talking about jobs. Been doing a lot of videos on this subject because, I know how it is when you don't have a job and you need a job, you got bills to pay, the rent's due. So I'm trying to make these videos to help people when it comes to finding a job. And I know one of the worst situations, kind of a vicious cycle you can get locked into, I've been there, so I know, is when you don't have a car and you're trying to find a job and you're like, I need a job so I can afford a car, but I can't seem to get a job because I don't have a car. So I want to make this video and tell you that it is possible to find and get back and forth to a decent job without a car. I'm going to share with you 5 tips, most of which I've used personally, that can help you to find a job without a car, without a vehicle. Number 1 is one that I think a lot of people overlook, and I talk about it all the time, is temp agencies. Okay, if you don't have a vehicle, I still recommend that you apply to temp agencies, because when you're in the interview and they ask you, do you have any kind of requirements or stipulations for the jobs we send you out on, you can tell them, I don't have a car, I can only make it to these parts of town. This is where I live, I need jobs that are close by my house, or close by whatever. Wherever you can get to in town, just tell them, these are the areas I can get to, I can only take jobs there. And what they will do is they will look for you jobs in that area. Temp agencies only make money if they send you out. So they're going to do whatever they can to send you out. Not to mention, they probably already have clients in that area they can send you to. I know this tip works because I have done it a couple different occasions. I was without a job, without a car. Yeah, things used to be rough for me back in the day. But I just went to the temp agency and said, hey, this is the area I can get to. And they would call me when they had a job for me, and they say, hey, this is here, can you get there? A couple times I couldn't. Sometimes I was like, nah, it's a little too far. Other times I was like, boom, I'm there. And I got some really good jobs, got some money in my pocket, and the temp agency did all the work for me. I didn't have to go out looking for these jobs, they found them. So apply at your local temp agencies, even like your day labor places. A lot of people don't like working through them, but day labor expects you not to have a car. They have vans, or you can carpool with other people. So yeah, try your very, very temporary agencies like day labor, and get you some money in your pocket, can start saving up money. Number 2. This is a tip a lot of people really don't want to hear, but that is, don't be afraid to walk. I know here in America, we're bougie, we don't want to walk nowhere, but I'm telling you, walking isn't as hard as you think it is. I've got a bunch of stories on this one where I found jobs, either through, I called and had just like a phone interview, and they were like, hey, well, you come by, we'll hire you. You sound, like a perfect fit. But I didn't have a vehicle, didn't have a ride to get there. Only way I could get to these jobs was to walk, and I had to do it. Some of these jobs, I had one job I had to get up and leave the house at like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was an hour walk, so I could get to work around 6 o'clock. The first couple days were murder. Like, I was just like, I can't do this. But after a while, in all honesty, I got used to it. And I got to the point where I liked it. It was like my alone time, like nobody was out on the roads. I put my headphones on and I had my little hour walk to work, gave me time to wake up, just get energized for the day, listening to my music. And after a while, it was nothing to it. I kind of enjoyed the walk. Other times, I've had to walk to job interviews. One time I got a job, because I forget how it came up in the conversation, but they asked me to have a vehicle, and I told them no, and they said, okay, we can still, the job did require driving around, but they had some company vehicles I could drive. But then they were like, how did you get here? And I was like, I walked. And my potential boss was so impressed, he told his boss, like, this dude walked 45 minutes to get to this job interview. That's what helped me get the job. So if you are serious about getting a job and you have no other way of getting there, none of the other tips I'm gonna mention work. Walk. It's just 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. Walk. I'm a big believer in putting energy towards something. If you're willing to walk to work for a while, I promise you something will pop up and you will end up getting a ride. Trust me on that one. Don't be afraid to walk. It's not as bad as we think it is. Your feet will get used to it. Okay, anyway. 3rd tip, if you don't want to walk, one of the major ways to get to work when you don't have a car, kind of a no-brainer, but public transportation. Most major cities, even though we have a very crappy public transportation system in the United States, most major cities have some form of bus line, train, subway, something like that. Utilize that to your benefit. to get to work. When you're looking for a job, you'll see that a lot of employers are even putting their listing on the bus line or on the train line, because they know that helps them get applicants, get more applicants. So be on the lookout for that. But if you're not familiar with the public transportation in your city, look into it. And not only is there in a lot of cities the obvious public transportation, like you see the buses, you see the subway, you know about it. There are also a lot of cities that have kind of little shuttles that go around and other like little ride sharing programs and carpooling programs. Look into those programs. A lot of times they're not really advertised and only the people who do the research find out about them. But in this day and age, especially when everyone's trying to go green and cut down on emissions, there are so many ways to use public transportation to get back and forth to work, and it's super cheap. When I lived in Atlanta, I would pay, I think it was like $30 a month for a MARTA pass, and I could ride the bus and I could ride the train all month long. $30. You can't get back and forth to work in a car for $30. So yeah, it's super cheap. Public transportation is set up for people, on a budget, money's tight. Definitely look into public transportation. It will help you to get back and forth to work. Sometimes it's quicker to use public transportation to get back and forth to work than it is to drive. I know people who have cars who still take the train or the bus to work. So that's the third method. Definitely want to look into that. The fourth method is one that a lot of people are familiar with, but some people still aren't, and that's ride-sharing companies like Uber or Lyft. Uber and Lyft have changed the game. You don't need a car anymore. Uber and Lyft may be kind of a little expensive to do on a daily basis, but if you think about the money that it's allowing you to make if you take an Uber to work and then back home, it's really worth it. So, if nothing else, download the Uber app and link it to your bank account or your PayPal and use Uber to get back and forth to work or to get to work. Typically, like once you get to work, you can find somebody to give you a ride home or give you a ride close to your house, or maybe you can take the bus back home. Sometimes the bus doesn't run early in the morning. Take an Uber to work or a Lyft to work and then ride the bus back. Do whatever you got to do, but they're definitely an option. $10 or less gets you to work. I mean, that might be less than an hour of you working, so just do the math in your head. How long do you really have to work to pay that back every day? So I'm a big Uber fan. Some people prefer Lyft, but I use it all the time. Anytime I need to go somewhere right down the road, you just call up an Uber, boom, I'm there. It's a great way, dependable way. It gets you to work in comfort, in the air conditioning. If you're someone who doesn't want to be on public transportation with 100 other people, just call you an Uber, get there and stop. And finally, another tip that I think a lot of people won't mention is a scooter or moped. I know you don't want to be that dude pulling up to work on a scooter or a moped, but if money is tight and you got no other way to consistently get to work, it's an option. I have done this one before myself as well. I have driven a scooter to work. People looked at me funny. They always had little comments. Most of them actually weren't really like negative comments, but they were just like, man, that's you driving that thing to work? And I'm like, yeah. I had my helmet on, everything, looking just super nerdy, but I didn't care. Like, I had to get to work. You can buy a used scooter for like $600 from like a college kid or something, maybe cheaper if it's the end of the school year. And the gas is super cheap in it. I think it cost me, what was it, $8 a week, if that, to get back and forth to work on my scooter. I loved it. You just hopped on it after work and down the road you went. Didn't have to have insurance on it, and so it's a great option in the spring and summer months to get back and forth to work. Super cheap, and all the money that you would be putting, if you had a car, that you would be putting to car insurance and gas and upkeep, you just save that money and then buy you a car. And then you can keep taking the scooter. Me personally, I recommend just like a mix of all these tips. You don't have to have a car. I feel like a lot of people are realizing these days that sometimes it's better not to have a car. I haven't had a car in 3 years and I get around just fine. But maybe get you a scooter for the summer months, maybe take the bus in the winter months, take an Uber every now and then. Just there are so many different options for getting a job without a car. Don't just sit at the house and be like, oh, woe is me, no car, can't get a job. Be proactive, get out there, hop on the bus, go out, put out job applications, get on Craigslist, see if anybody's got a little cheap scooter for sale. Just find a way. Walk if you have to. Like I said, employers are impressed if you walk to a job interview or if you walk to work. And sooner or later, if people see you walking every day, either one of your coworkers or someone who works nearby will be like, hey dude, I go the same route as you, I'll give you a ride to work for a couple bucks. So don't get discouraged. Keep putting them applications in, and just do what you have to do to get a job, to get hired on, and then start saving up money. Eventually you'll be able to buy a car if you want to. Anyway, I'm Tim. Thanks for watching. Hope these tips were helpful. Talk to you later.